EFF leader Julius Malema says this May Day should serve as a reminder that the unity of workers is paramount. Malema was addressing supporters at the party's Workers' Day rally at Themba Senamela Stadium in Middelburg in Mpumalanga. He says divided workers are easily exploited. The EFF says his party is in the process of forming its own union.
We are having a labor desk because we are preparing to have an EFF union. The union of the EFF is inevitable, and that union will never sell the workers out.
Because the formation of a union is a decision of the workers. I'm not a worker. I'm not going to sit here and take a decision on behalf of the workers. The workers have to take a decision on the formation of a union.
Mathunjwa's organization, but I think when I'm saying our, I'm assuming other people as well. You answered it to say, maybe we're not answering it directly. You say these economic freedom fighters did not have other wings around it to assist in advancing this struggle. Did you struggle to get NASA to be recognized at EFF?
No. The idea was not to get NASA recognized at EFF. It was not even the plan. Because oftentimes when trade unions are affiliated or have an alliance with a political party, they will be controlled by a political party. Right? If Rupert is funding the EFF and we go to Remgro with radicalism of the NASA workers, they're shutting the plant, the likelihood is that you're going to the court and say, no man, let's finish this strike. So it is always important that trade unions must be independent. They can have collaborations with political parties. NASA has been independent. It's independent. It will continue to be independent. It has never been our wish that it must be recognized by the EFF. There was never some sort of a discussion leaning towards that direction.
Do you not find it as a contradiction of what you just said about the Congress movement having these alliance partners? You included the Federation of COSATU with these multiple labor movements inside,
yeah,
as a positive, yeah, for the ANC.
And let us check when did these alliances start of the ANC. In particular, I'm making reference to the labor movement. I think fighting for democracy, for the dismantlement of the apartheid regime was necessary, that ANC and unions then must work together. But I will pose a question to say, post the democratic dispensation, was there a need for them to be in alliance? I think we must do a proper diagnosis and come up with the answers. And I'm saying, if there is a union that is strong with its own space, is it ideal that it must be affiliated to a political party? The answer is no. But when you take a political party in contesting elections, is it a need for a political party to align with the trade union? Yes, because that political party will benefit from the trade union. You see, but if we reverse what I've just said in saying, Is it proper for a trade union to align with a political party? The answer will be different.
Please tell us about NASA. When was it established and where do you organize?
NASA emerges from FISMA's fall. Remember, we lead a successful struggle of insourcing in institutions of higher learning. That's why others, they say I'm the general of insourcing, because we led, we fought over a year or so in ensuring that the vulnerable workers, those mothers who were highly exploited, are absorbed permanently by the universities. 2019, the 14th of June, we get our certificate from the Department of Labor. We're only existing in 7 sectors. And in our second Congress that took place on the 3rd of September in 2022, we added in the 8 sectors where we're existing to about 42. So I'm talking of fast-moving consumer goods, research institutions of higher learning, waste, engineering, municipalities, public sector. It's 42 of them. We're a growing organization. We're going to grow. We're a force to be reckoned with. I think NASA is one of the progressive trade unions, led by a relatively young general secretary. So what the future? No one can wipe us out. Those who think they are contesting the power in this republic alone, they are not analyzing things correctly. We're existing here to also contest power so that we can change the conditions of our people on the ground.
Any future plans? Do you have a federation in mind? Do you believe in politics of federation and uniting with other labor unions too?
Unity of workers' unions, it's very, very, very important, because I don't think in our individual spaces we can fight the system, we can fight the exploitation of workers. A case in point is section 198 of the Labor Relations Act, speaking about permanent employment of the workers. You know, NUMSA won that struggle legally. They did not win the struggle politically, and it's a struggle of absorption of workers indefinitely that must be won politically. If you win it legally only, employers, bottomless pit of resources, they're going to frustrate you. That's why to date, there's still those who don't comply, because lawyers are interpreting 198 in many different forms to suit their own narrative. And you can't, in this space, only fight legally, you must also fight politically. So when it comes to a unity of the workers, I fully agree. Are federations relevant? The answer is no. What is the role of COSATU? What is the role of SAFTU? What is the role of NATU? None of them, even combined, can bring the labor force into a standstill. They can't call a stay away to say we're fighting for this particular issue for workers. For as long as you don't have a federation that can call a stay away, I don't see their relevance, unless if they will be the one which is going to shake capital, wherein the general secretary of that federation speaks, the rent drops. Then you will know that we have a leader of workers.
You've got dreams of sitting issues on a national level, and then also answer it with your closing remarks.
Yeah. NETLAC, Parliament, trade unions, including political parties, in their current existence, they are reform institutions. In this economic setting, can they change the conditions of the workers? The answer is no, because they are reforms. It's institutions formed so that they can serve capital at the end of the day. But can we sit and say we don't participate at NETLAC? I think it wouldn't be wise. They've approached us, SAFTU approached us, we said no to VAVI. NADTU approached us, we said no to them, because we don't see the value in joining them. But if there was a value, of course we are going to join them. It was going to be a vehicle that we serve at NETLAC so that we can influence the laws that are created, drafted and ratified by Parliament. So if an opportunity comes, we'll serve there, not because we believe in the structure, but because there are little reforms that we can achieve out of serving in those structures.
Squeezing the last one. Do you think the two-port system is a gain for the workers in general, and especially the fact that SARS is deducting a lot of tax there?
Look, it's not gonna work. It's unfortunate that you can't control workers when it comes to their money. The advice of NASA workers is that workers should not have access to their pension money, because oftentimes when they retire they go home hungry. However, this is just a money generating type of approach for government in as far as taxation is concerned. The maximum is 30,000. Some will qualify for that 30,000. Some will not qualify for that 30,000. So if you say you want them to have access so that they can improve their current conditions, I'm not sure with 30,000 what is it that they can do. So I don't think it's in the best interest of the workers. Of course, workers, it's a reality, they're going to apply for that money, including members of NASA workers. We advise them against it, but it's their money at the end of the day. Some of them, they are not even getting enough, so there's no way they wouldn't want to access that money.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Former student leaders and EFF members have established a trade union themselves to restore the dignity of working people across all sectors. They say the launch of the Workers' Socialist Union of South Africa followed talks between workers, students and civil society groupings. The trade union will be officially launched tomorrow. To discuss, we're joined by the convener, Meli Gebashe, who says that the idea was born when the EFF Student Command became involved in trying to improve the plight of workers at Wits University. Of course, there have been issues there over the years, and we're joined by Meli Gebashe right now. Thank you for being with us. The founding member, I understand, is also a former Wits SRC president. Is this a small initiative focused on Wits, or something bigger, or are there hopes that it will be bigger?
Good evening, Francis. Just to correct my name, I was not the president of Wits University. However, I was part of the first EFF-led SRC as the transformation officer at Wits University.
Sure. I understand one of the initiators of this is a former Wits SRC president. So again, the question, are you all Witsies coming together, or is there a bigger plan here?
Oh, okay, no. Yes, the former president of Wits University, Urdiret Masebe, is also part of the initiative. But we're not only limited to Wits University. Wits is just, the beginning of, our national politics, our national footprint in politics. We have workers at South Point, we have workers at DHL in the East Rand, we have workers in the West Rand. So it's not just a Wits thing, it's where everything was inspired and started was Wits University during the times of fees must fall, the times of insourcing of workers at institutions of higher learning, the times when we were leading in the SRC, when we were fighting for workers at South Point who were retrenched and all the tears.
And EFF leaders involved, is there any endorsement or any encouragement from the national, provincial EFF leadership?
Sorry?
Is the EFF as a party involved in this at all? Any encouragement or endorsement from the leadership?
Okay, like we've already, said in our office opening, we are not an EFF organization. Obviously the EFF is the home to most of the founding members of the trade union, but some of the founders are from the PAC, some of the founders of the union are from the ANC. So we are not, in cahoots with any political party. We're an independent trade union that, seeks to fight and defend the dignity of workers, especially on the question of insourcing.
One of the analysts on this show earlier was bemoaning the fact that there's very little unity amongst workers' movements already in South Africa. Why have you chosen to launch something new rather than join any of the existing structures, COSATU, SAFTU, AMCU, NUMSA?
Firstly, I will say that all these, organizations, trade union organizations and organizations that we found have inspired us starting this thing, because on campus, for instance, you find that workers who are part of the unions that you've mentioned, these old traditional trade unions, they are part of them, but each and every now and then they come back to student leaders like ourselves who've been in the struggle of workers and continue seeking assistance, especially on petty issues like your medical aid, your overtime, being overworked. So we said, but it cannot be that as young independent leaders we can fight to champion a bigger victory like insourcing, but these trade unions that have all the infrastructure, they fail to defend workers on smaller questions like, demands like your medical aid, your housing allowance, and all sorts of things that workers are crying out. So we said, since we have this relationship with workers and we have relationships with, the law firms like City and Tabela attorneys, let us just consult and find out how can we formalize this relationship, because there's nothing as tiring, in activism as always being, representing people in your individual capacity, because firstly, it opens for corruption, it opens, it opens students and young leaders to the vulnerability of being bought by management and all sorts of things. So we said, let us do the consultation, team up with the law firms, City and attorneys that we've been teaming up with, that we've been working with in our activism, especially in student activism days. Let us see what we can do. And the solution was that let us formalize our relationship with workers. So this, what will be happening tomorrow, it's not a beginning of, a journey. It's what has already been there. It's just us formalizing. It's us saying we are these independent young leaders, right, and workers. And this is what we are going to do.
All right. EFF leader Julius Malema says this May Day should serve as a reminder that the unity of workers is paramount. Malema was addressing supporters at the party's Workers' Day rally at Themba Senamela Stadium in Middelburg in Mpumalanga. He says divided workers are easily exploited. The EFF says his party is in the process of forming its own union.
We are having a labor desk because we are preparing to have an EFF union. The union of the EFF is inevitable, and that union will never sell the workers out. That union will always be on the side of the workers. So the EFF Union is coming. This is just a warm-up. Mkhalipi, Komisa Mkhalipi, Kengiwe, the head of labor desk, she's still warming up. We're preparing to do a union and not a Mickey Mouse union that is in cahoots and in bed with the employer, because a lot of unions are with the employer and not with our people. COSATU is even worse. NUM is worse than worse. AMCU is still better than. So we want a union that will know that we are a union of the workers, not friends of the CEO or the chairperson of the company. The EFF is going to take over. COSATU ikhwile. There is no longer COSATU. Today, COSATU inchiche poster yarbana le rally go Rustenburg. Mo posting ya bona babeile Soli Moholo, babeile the artist. Wa bona ntwa isali union. Ntwa ki entertainment company Soli Moholo. Ompuje artist ba re ke Soli Moholo. So the unions in South Africa have taken the side of the employer. There is a vacuum on the side of the workers.
Because the formation of a union is a decision of the workers. I'm not a worker. I'm not going to sit here and take a decision on behalf of the workers. The workers have to take a decision on the formation of a union, and that is, if that is a legitimate, credible union, itself will say we are ideologically aligned with the EFF because it represents what we stand. I've seen a lot of people forming unions out of unemployment, especially some from the EFF. They lose positions, they go and form unions. Those unions died even before they existed, because that thing of Labor Act requires a lot of things. It's not like the formation of a political party. And we hear the call that the teachers want a union, they're being dominated by SATU and all of that. What stops them from forming a union? Let them form it. The EFF is there to align with any progressive leftist political organizations, unions, and non-governmental organizations.
We choose this country into a squalor, to be a dustbin. Then you turn around and say, you can change things. Why didn't you change while you were there?
Thank you.
This is the same government. Yeah, ANC that killed our fathers in Marikana.
Yes.
Some of them, they moved to MK today. But they were the president by then. When Cyril, have you ever heard the MK leadership criticizing Ramaphosa about Marikana? Bangaxabana baxabane but angeke bayithinte leyo. Bangathukana kuthiwa le i-ANC yaka Ramaphosa. Kodwa angeke athi i-ANC yaka Ramaphosa eyabulala abasebenzi baseMarikana. Ngabafiki la. You must ask yourself why. Let me tell you, today we've got Zondo Commission talking about the state capture. Don't be distracted. The state capture never started with the former President Jacob Zuma. Even though he was the president when our brothers and sisters and our brothers and fathers were killed here, but the state capture never started during his term. Don't allow the media to lie to you. Media assist the nation, educate the nation, empower the nation. Don't come with a Western Caucasian narrative to suppress the thinking of a black person in Africa. The state capture, I won't even go in 1800, I'll come closer. Land expropriation without compensation is not a new thing. It's not a new thing. In the parliament, they can talk about it. They will never implement it. They will never. It's just politicking. It's just to finish there. But in the contract layer, it's in it term. It term yabo, 5 years. Yeah, they are short term, 5 years. They will keep you busy with this narrative. Expropriation of land without compensation. You will never realize it. The good example. Listen to this one. Bahlasela isilo samaZulu. Bafuna ukuthatha ingwenyama trust. But the expropriation of land. Kodwa bashiya umhlaba uphethwe yiAnglo. Babasabana belungu. Bayogijimela umhlaba wesilo lephansi. I just want to show you. Into eona umuntu omnyama. Ugovernment wethu uqabene nayo. Kodwa into eona umlungu yile protect